less happy, less impactful? Do you fear that you're not good enough? Do you think you're unworthy? Do you think you're not smart enough to do this? Do you think that you're an imposter and you don't believe in yourself? Are you afraid you're not ever going to reach your potential? What is that fear? The fear of disappointing people. Because we're going to hit it head on in the second half of this presentation. But before we get to fear, I want to talk a little bit about attention. Because the two things that are going to be the biggest obstacles, that create the greatest excuses that impact your happiness and your productivity are your attention and the fears that are stopping you. So I want to start with the attention, because where your attention goes, that's where the money flows. Where your attention goes, that's where your happiness goes. Where your attention goes, if you think about it, if you put your attention on toxic people, that's not really good for your life. If you put your attention on the things that don't make you money, that's not good for your bank account. And the thing that's interesting about your attention is that it is, number one, completely under your control. And number two, it's for sale. And I'm going to prove it to you. So, a lot of us, we use our phone, right, for our business. The phone is a major tool that you need in order to grow this business of yours. But I have a question for you. Is the phone a tool, or are you the tool? Okay? Who's using who when you think about the way that you use your phone? Because the thing is in today's world, your attention is for sale. If you hop onto your phone, and let's say that you hop onto your phone because you've got to make some phone calls, and you're going to call somebody on your chicken list. You guys have a chicken list? That's that list, of the people that you're chicken to call. So you pick up your phone and you start scrolling through it. You're looking for the contact information of that person on your chicken list. And next thing you know, you've tapped onto a little ad that says 7 things that happy people do. Guess what? You just made Facebook a bunch of money. You made me a bunch of money because I put that ad there. That's how we make our money, and we're very good at it. You live in what I call the attention economy. There's a reason why the news headlines are scary, because you pay attention. We get your attention. There's a reason why everything on Facebook is like the 7 this, the 13 that, the 11 that. We know that you'll click on something that we call a listicle, because we got your attention, and your brain automatically goes, I wonder what the 7 are. Click. You are for sale in the attention economy. And in order to grow your business, in order to get everything that you need, in order to be happier, you're going to have to learn how to be intentional about where you put your attention. Because there's a very big difference between being productive and being busy, isn't there? Now, I want to show you something, because I think a lot of us don't even realize how addicted we've become to our phones. I think we throw that word around like, yeah, I think we would say, how do you even realize how much you use it? There was a study that was done recently, just a couple months ago, where they looked at the actual phone itself. They gave phones out to people that were normal users, people that were high-frequency cell phone users. The phones were specialized, so they could measure every tap, every swipe, every scroll, every flip, every link, every run, everything that you did to it, okay? And you realize in one day, the average cell phone user, touch, tap, swipe, scrolls, loves their phone this many times. You don't even realize it, do you? And in fact, if you're what they call a high-frequency user, that's a code word for teenager, that number is closer to 5,600 times. The other study that should surprise you and scare you is that they did this study about what part of the brain that our cell phones trigger. It triggers the addiction center of the brain. If you and I were sitting at a table, okay, and we're having a conversation, they did this study where they wired people's heads up and they had people sit and answer a bunch of questions back and forth and be in a conversation, and the people were present and the prefrontal cortex was engaged, and the researcher put his or her phone on the table. Not yours or mine, the researcher. The second that phone came out, this part of the brain went. It's already happened. We're already addicted. And everything on here is designed to get your attention so people can make money on you. You need to know that, because you're going to take what I'm going to tell you very seriously. So I already said it, there's a big difference between being productive and busy. People who are productive wealthy. People who are busy bitch a lot about how they're not. Okay? You can be very, very, very busy and not be focused on important things. You can use busyness. If you notice this about busy people, a lot of busy people have a lot of reasons for why they're so busy and why they can't get to the important things. You want to become somebody that has the discipline to put your attention on the things that matter to you. And that's why I want to talk to you about not being busy, not being overwhelmed, but having your attention focused. Now I want to show you something that's been around for a couple decades. This is a grid that shows you where your time goes, okay? Now this was invented like 30 years ago, and frankly there's no need to update it because it still holds true today. You always focus on things that are urgent, happening right now, that are important. So for example, things related to your family. You don't ever really need to schedule those because your kids and your family members have a way of calling you and asking you for things. You don't need to worry about that. That's important, and it tends to happen urgent. Things that are going on last minute, those tend to be important, and there's an urgency, so you don't need to worry about those. The things that you need to worry about are distractions. These are the things that are urgent, like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I need you to answer my email, or I need you to be in this meeting for me, or I need you on this phone call. It's not important to you, but it's urgent for somebody else. That has a way of filling your time and making you busy, doesn't it? The other thing that makes you busy, this stuff right here. Total waste of time. If you want to do this on the weekends, do this to blow off time, do this to de-stress, go for it. Social media, Netflix, the 5,426, that's a reference to how many times a teenager hits their phone a day. Waste of time. What I want to train you to do is I want to train you to become the kind of person that's so productive, the kind of person that's able to put your attention on the stuff that's important to you, that you can spend more time here. This is where happiness, satisfaction, control, and wealth, freedom, it all comes by spending more time here on the things that are really important, but they're not that urgent right now. And so the question becomes, how can I teach you? How can I teach you to be the kind of person that organizes your day so that you spend time on things that aren't urgent, but they're really, really important, your goals, your dreams, your personal development. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you the 5 habits that I have every morning. And they're all grounded in the science of productivity. And they're all simple. And just like the 5-second rule, they all work. And also, when you first hear, you're going to think that's dumb. I don't want to do that. So the first one, and this is the critical one. Before you go to bed, I want you to take your phone, I want you to put it in the kitchen, the bathroom, or your closet and plug it in and charge it, and then I want you to go to bed. Because the number 1 rule of productivity, no phone in your bedroom. Now let me show you why. And I'll go, what? But I need the alarm, but I like to sleep with it, but I don't look at it. I swear to God, and I'm like, no. Here's why. I don't trust you. And you shouldn't trust you. You're addicted to it. All the science proves it. You're addicted to it. And let me show you the common sense reason why I don't want it in your bedroom. Because you're going to be in your bed, and that alarm's going to go off, and you're going to reach for that phone, and you're going to do this. And then you're going to start scrolling. And then you're going to go, oh my God, I forgot to do that email, and I forgot to do this, and Kim Kardashian's life is way better than mine, and I'm such a loser, and I didn't sell enough, and oh my gosh, they're already on the vacation, and they earned an incentive trip, and oh dear, and what about this, and oh geez, and oh my gosh, I forgot that thing, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And so by the time you get up, you've already experienced FOMO, anxiety, overwhelmed, and told yourself you're a loser a couple hundred times. And everybody else's priorities is flooded into your brain. The attention economy has won before you even got out of bed. That's why you feel overwhelmed every day. That's why you put yourself last. That's why you feel like you can't focus. That's why you're not productive. It starts because you lose the battle with the attention economy before you even get out of bed. So I want you to have this phone over in the closet. Because when that alarm goes off, you can't trust yourself. Now you've screwed yourself over. The alarm's going off. You gotta get up. You don't have a choice. It's going off in the closet. And that means you have done rule number 2. But before I do rule number 2, I gotta show you something. This is sick. Sickening. This is the other reason why I don't want your phone near your bedroom. They recently did a study a couple months ago, and this is data from phones. This is not a survey. This is what people actually do, not what they say they do. In the middle of the night, 33% of you are checking email. That is sick. Disgusting. What is wrong with you? I'll tell you what's wrong with you. You're addicted to the thing. You can't help yourself. So you're going to put it in the closet, put it in the kitchen, put it in the bathroom, make your children do the exact same thing because they're not sleeping either, because they're staying awake to make sure that if their friends text, they see it. And then when that alarm rings, you now are guaranteed to do rule number 2 of productivity, and that is no snooze button. Now, the reason why I say no snooze button is not because of my personal story. The reason has to do with science. You see, I'm skeptical. I'm analytical just like you are. Just because somebody tells me not to hit the snooze button doesn't mean I'm doing it. But if I understand why it's important, then I will do it. And believe me, this is really important. It has to do with the science of sleep and how it impacts your ability to focus and be productive. Let me explain the way that we sleep first so that you understand what happens when you hit the snooze alarm. So when you and I fall asleep, what happens is we fall asleep and then we drift into what's called a sleep cycle. A sleep cycle lasts about 75 to 90 minutes. And one of the main reasons why we have a sleep cycle, this is really interesting, is because when you're in a sleep cycle, half of your brain shuts down. And what your brain is able to do when half of your brain shuts down and functioning is it acts like a giant library system, and it takes every single thing that happened to you today and it restocks all your memories, just like books returning to a library. If you didn't sleep regularly or have these sleep cycles, you'd have no memory. It's how your brain encodes what happens to you. So you have a sleep cycle for 75 to 90 minutes. Then you have a second one. You might have a third one. And then you go into like a 2-hour period that your brain does where it's acting like a giant frozen chicken that's thawing for dinner. And it's slowly getting ready to wake up. So when that alarm wakes up, it's ready to kind of wake up and start the day. Now, for those of us that hit the snooze button, what do you suppose our brain drifts back into? A sleep cycle. Exactly. How long does that take? 75 to 90 minutes. Have you ever noticed on the weekend when the alarm goes off and you actually can sleep in and you turn the alarm off and you're like, oh, I'm just going to drift off for a minute or two? Have you ever noticed you always sleep for like an hour? That was a sleep cycle. That's why that happens. So, what happens when you hit the snooze alarm and you're in the middle of a sleep cycle and the alarm goes off 15 minutes later, believe it or not, you have put yourself in a neurological state that is called sleep inertia. If you don't believe me, Google it. Sleep inertia is a state where the cortic region of your brain, that's the part of the brain where you focus and you process and you make decisions, it's actually stuck in it for 4 hours. So if you're somebody who hits the snooze button and then you go and you're like, oh God, I'm so tired, I didn't get enough sleep, and that's not the reason why you're tired and groggy. The reason why you're tired and groggy is because your brain is stuck in a sleep cycle. It takes 4 hours, based on research, for your brain to come fully awake. So you have impacted your own productivity by 4 hours because of the one snooze button. So, rule number 2, that alarm goes off. I don't care how you feel. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up, walk across the room, turn off the phone, don't look at it. Don't look at it, we're not done yet. You're gonna then go and you're gonna do what I call 30 before 7:30. Now, other than no makeup, what else do you not see in this photo? No phone, exactly. I don't want that sucker anywhere near me. 30 before 7:30 is this thing I made up a couple of years ago. My kids got on the bus at 7 o'clock. So that was the first time that I had to myself in the house. I took 30 minutes every morning. 30 before 7:30. Look, you might only have 10 minutes. You might have 5 minutes. You might do this at 6:30 in the morning. You might do it at 8:15. The whole point of this is I think your dreams matter. Your dreams matter more than the attention economy. Your dreams matter more than whatever is on that darn phone. Your dreams matter more than what they're talking about on Good Morning America or the Today Show or whatever morning television you watch. And it is essential, before you tune your brain into the attention economy, dear God, give your dreams a fighting chance. And the way that you do it is you sit yourself down without your phone, without the TV on, and you plan. You do that quadrant that nobody has time for. This is your personal development time. This is the time for your dreams. And if you only find 5 minutes, it's fine, because I want you to do something very simple with this time. I want you to leverage what I leverage. I've stolen this from the Harvard Business School. People way smarter than me have figured this out. I don't need to invent this. I'm just stealing it and using it, and you can too. It's free and it works. What you're going to do is you're going to focus on just one thing a day. The secret to productivity is not getting it all done. The secret to productivity is getting the important things done. So the way that you're going to do that is when you crack open your little journal or your planner or whatever, your calendar, you're going to ask yourself, what's the project that I'm going to work on today that's for me? What's the one thing? It might be one phone call on your chicken list. It might be watching a training video so you understand one of the new products a little bit better. It might be calling somebody in your sales organization, your upline or downline, somebody that you need coaching from or that you need to give coaching to. It might be working on something related to social media. It might be working on your mother's 70th photo album for your birthday. I don't know. It's what's important to you. Then you're going to go here and you're going to say, this project matters to me because... And the reason why you write down why it's important to you is writing it down increases the likelihood that you are going to actually do it. This isn't my advice. This is research-based advice. And then you're going to identify, what's one small thing I can do? Just one. Maybe it's a Google search. Maybe it's a phone call. Maybe it's watching one video. Maybe it's reading something. Just one thing. Let's take the pressure off. Because what I know is that if you can do just one thing, you're leveraging what Harvard Business School calls the progress principle. And based on the research, what we know is that when you focus on one thing that matters to you, and you make one small move forward, you move from the likelihood of doing it from 43% to 76%. I didn't make this up. I'm just sharing it with you because it works. And there's a benefit to your confidence. So every time you pick one small move, and you actually take action, and because you've only picked one thing and leveraged the progress principle, you're 76% more likely to actually do it. The second that you take action, you reduce your own self-doubt and you start to build confidence because you see yourself getting stuff done. The action reinforces your belief in yourself. And that progress motivates you to take action again tomorrow. This is Harvard Business School's progress principle. And in fact, when they did this study with 14,000 people and asked them, what's the one thing that makes you feel like you've had a great week in your business or work? You know what everybody said? They analyzed 14,000 work diaries. If I made meaningful progress on a project that mattered to me, it was a great week. And this is how you do it. This is how you break it down. Now, the final thing, this is going to sound weird, but this is also based in science. Every single day, I write down when I'm going to quit working. It's called Parkinson's Law. So I just say, today I'm going to stop working at X. Now let me explain Parkinson's Law, because we've all experienced it. The project that you have in front of you will take as long as the amount of time you have to complete it. So if you've got 3 weeks to call somebody on your chicken list, how long is it going to take you? 3 weeks. If you got 3 minutes to call somebody on your chicken list, how long is it going to take you? 3 minutes. Let me also expand on this and unpack it even further. You know those days where you got something you got to do at the end of the day? You got a dentist appointment. Somebody you love, one of your kids or nieces or nephew or somebody's playing in like a soccer game and you said you'd be there. Or maybe you got a flight you got to catch. Have you ever noticed how productive you are on those days because you got a bookend for when you got to stop working? That's the progress principle. You have defined the amount of time that you have because of the dentist appointment or the flight. You can leverage this. This comes from a professor at Cal State, a guy, Professor Newton, that gets more done than just about anybody on the planet. He lives by this, and it actually does work. It works about 70% of the time for me. 70% of the time for me, it increases my productivity to say I'm done at 5:30, or I'm done at 8 o'clock tonight, or I'm done at 4:20 today. And as it's approaching that time, I feel the intensity and I get more focused. And I want you to try it because for those of you that feel like, my gosh, work is bleeding into personal life, I have no life balance, I'm so busy, this is a way to hack productivity. So again, no phone in the bedroom, no snooze alarm. The second you get up, do not look at that phone 30 by 7. You're going to spend 30 minutes on your dreams. I think your dreams deserve it. You're going to pick one thing that matters to you, why, and you're going to write down one thing that you can do, and then you're going to set your quitting time. These are all based in science, and they're going to make you feel more productive. Now, let's talk about the bigger one, and that's fear. So I want to come down, and I want to talk to you guys and find out what is the fear that is holding you back. What is the thing that you're struggling with? And let me tell you folks in the back, I'm coming. You cannot hide from me. What is the fear that's holding you back? And I want to say something about fear, because fear is funny. It's something that happens in your body. And I represent uncertainty right now. And so as I walk this way, the closer I get to you, the greater the uncertainty that you might be called on. And so you might notice that fear is rising a little bit. And the people behind you, the further fear gets away from them, the more that it drops. I want to say something also about yesterday and the 5-second rule. I do believe that there's power in it. And I believe that it talks to you all the time. And so if you're sitting in that chair, and what your little soul and the power in you is saying is, I should check all of you anyway. That is what I'm talking about. Thank you for acknowledging that. That is what I'm talking about when I say the power in you. Do you know how to listen to your soul? Do you know how to listen to the power in you? Do you know when that alarm is ringing inside of you? Because first you've got to have clarity to hear it. And if you're sitting there and your body is saying, I should raise my hand, and your brain's like, oh no, you shouldn't. That is that moment, that 5-second moment, where you get to decide, is fear winning or does courage win? Does self-doubt silence you? Or do your dreams speak? Because every one of you is sitting in this room because you know that you're going to learn something from it. The question is, are you going to learn something from yourself while you sit here? So let's do this together. Anybody that recognizes that they know that they should raise their hand and volunteer to talk about their fears. Let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent. That is the first step to having a breakthrough. Having the clarity to recognize what your actual soul and the power of you is dying to say. And for those of you that feel like, I want to reach my potential, I'm so scared I'm not going to reach my potential. Your potential lives in that 5 seconds. That's where it is. If you're willing to put yourself out there or not. So I want to talk to somebody who's struggling with some fear, who really wants to have a breakthrough. Yes, ma'am, right here. Do I have a mic? Yes, sir. Here he comes. Give her a round of applause. She's going first. Hi, Sam. What's your name? Hi, Diane.
So I've been in this business for 21 years.
Okay.
And I absolutely know that my biggest fear is that I'm going to disappoint the people I bring into my business because I'm not going to be their their expectations.
Wow. So what happened to you that makes you feel like you disappoint people?
That's a good question.
Where did you learn this? When's the first time that you remember feeling like you disappointed somebody that you care about?
Probably back in my corporate days.
Okay.
Yeah, in the corporate environment, because I worked in a very heavily male-dominated industry as a woman with ambition. And so I can't think of a specific event,
That's okay.
but that's probably where it started.
So there was something about the work environment that developed a pattern in you that made you start to manage that you were going to disappoint somebody and get in trouble. Is that right?
I'm thinking so.
Yeah. So when you feel stuck and you have a pattern that keeps replaying, don't ask yourself, like, what's wrong with me and how do I fix this? Ask yourself what happened. What happened to me that I don't believe in myself? What happened to me that I don't love myself? What happened to me that I believe that I'm going to disappoint people? Because the interesting thing about having that fear, particularly since you've been doing this so long, is that you know what you're doing. Do you know what you're doing? I didn't hear you.
Yes, I do.
Okay. And when you manage a fear, any fear, it changes how you speak, it changes the actions that you take. You're not your full self with people, especially if you're worried about disappointing people that you bring in. I bet you don't even ask certain people because you're worried that they're going to be disappointed and that it's going to impact your friendship. Raise your hand if you can relate to that. That's right. And the hard thing about fear is that if that's the pattern of, I can't be my full self, because if people are disappointed with me in the experience, then that's going to impact how you feel about it. The problem with that, and you know this, is that when you're not your full self, and when fear dictates how you speak, you end up disappointing people because they're not getting the full view.
Yeah.
They're getting the fear. So what are you seeing in this conversation? What are the things that you do that aren't truly you, but you do it out of fear?
I hold back in my business.
Specifically, what do you do? She's like, Erin, who's relating to this? Raise your hand so she sees, wow, you're doing the work for everybody. How do you hold back? What do you do specifically? Do you not hold coaching calls like you should? Do you not call people out on their stuff? Do you not push people the way that you should?
All of the above.
Okay, what else?
I try to be too nice.
Okay, who else is too nice? Yeah, okay.
I don't step into, well, I do step into discomfort in terms of public presentations and things like that.
That's not your problem.
Okay.
Your problem is how you deal with people.
On a one-on-one basis.
Correct. That was my problem for a very long time. So afraid of disappointing people that I just constantly managed what I thought you were thinking, and then I would lie in order to tell you what I thought you wanted to hear. And so what's interesting for you is, particularly in this business and in life, when you focus on just being nice so people like you and you're not soft, they're not going to do well in this business.
No, they're not.
And then they're going to have a story about you. And so the irony is you'd be more successful and better liked if you were just black and white to begin with. And then people that don't want to be in your organization because you're black and white, they will leave and it'll save your friendship because you'll figure it out faster. Versus the weirdness and the passive and all the ghosting and the stuff that happens as you're chasing people and trying to coach them while still being nice to them. And still don't judge me, but I still want you in this, but it's clear you don't. That's where the weirdness comes, because you're not being black and white. And you can say to me, I want you to be in this because of your dreams, but I gotta warn you, if you're gonna be on my team, this is not the chick that you have beers with on Friday night. I'm black and white, I'm gonna help you make your dreams come true. If you don't like it, no problem.
And ultimately what happens is I'm not true to myself.
Bingo. So you're not happy. And that's the trap that fear sets you guys when you don't see it. So when you see the fear, I'm afraid of disappointing people. You ask yourself what happened. Well, I was in an environment where I felt like I was doing that all the time. And then you say, okay, well, what do I do that's keeping me stuck here? Now, all of those things that I want you to do, every one of you, go home and write down all the things that you do in your life in order to make sure that people think that you're nice and good and okay, where you're not being yourself. And then the next chapter, when you leave here, you have a choice. You get to try to manipulate people into liking you. Good luck with that. Or you get to be yourself. And writing down all the areas where you see that you're trying to manage people, you're afraid of disappointing them, the behaviors that you engage in. If you write them down ahead of time, you got a better shot at catching yourself before you do it this time. So what are you going to do differently when you walk out here?
Be more direct with my team in what's going to serve them as opposed to satisfying or funneling my team.
Terrific. And are you willing to have people leave the team for you to be you?
Yes.
I didn't hear you.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, good. Give her a round of applause. That was awesome. All right, who's next? Who's afraid to talk to me? Who's afraid to talk to me? I'm going to grab somebody. I feel it. I'll get you. You got your hand up. And the next person, I'm ripping you out of your seat. Now, you better look up. I see what you're doing back there. Okay, yes, stand up. Give her a round of applause, please. Hi, your name?
I'm Allie.
Allie? Okay, cool. So what is your fear?
My fear is quitting my job
Okay.
to pursue my passion.
Okay. I'm sorry, I was just distracted by the size of the ring you're wearing. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's on you? Okay. So, what is it about quitting your job that scares you?
I'm an organized, planned person, and I've been in my corporate job for 6 years. Love it, but it's not my passion.
Okay.
I've owned the USANA business for 3 years,
Okay.
but finally pursued my long 7-year dream of becoming a personal trainer.
Okay.
So now I'm a trainer, have USANA. I want to do health, fitness, and change lives.
Fantastic. So, here's my take on quitting jobs. I want to be clear about the research, because I know a lot of you feel a ton of pressure. Quit. So the research shows very specifically that people that keep jobs that they hate, while they build up a business to a point where it is responsible to step into it, fail 33% less of the time than people that just quit because they're sick of it. Because what happens when you quit too soon is you put too much pressure on your dreams and on the new business. And then self-doubt and overwhelm and the realities of what you have to be responsible for kick in. And particularly for those of you with a family, with people that you're taking care of, with obligations, you need to be responsible. But do not use being responsible as a shield for hiding that you're a chicken when you're ready. Because you know when you're ready, and my formula is this. If you generate enough money 2 or 3 months in a row to pay your bills, you've demonstrated that this is a luck, and you're ready to go, as long as it's financially responsible. So that's my opinion. Again, everything that I say is my theory. It doesn't mean it's right. You have to take whatever people are telling you and calibrate it against what's right for you. Because when I walk out of here, and Allie walks out of here, she's going to go live her life, and I'm not going to be there except for on YouTube with her, okay? She's got to own the decision. So it's clear that you want to do this. The question is this a question of being responsible and doing the math and the calculations, or is this a question of you're just scared to make the change?
I'm definitely scared,
Okay.
because I want to be responsible. And I've looked at some of my best friends that have quit and pursued their passions, and because they've opened the space of having time,
Yeah.
they've tripled their income
Correct.
and doing what they love.
So can you make enough money to pay your bills? And have you done it consistently for a couple months?
No.
Okay. How much longer is it going to take you?
Well, I've been thinking that I need to give myself a timeline to have like a fire under my ass.
So look, she's a very organized person. I am not. A timeline would not work for me. I am more of a, I need to build up an emergency and then be left with no choice. Okay? But if a timeline works for you, you need to create a timeline. So let's pick a date right now that is responsible. I think that if you put your head down and you did this, in the next 3 months you can create enough income to prove to yourself that you can do this. You're going to work yourself into the ground, you're going to be doing the hustle at night, and working during the day, you're going to be exhausted, and then you're going to make it happen. But I think for your personality, let's pick a date right now. Okay, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. What are you waiting for?
I'm sweating.
So am I.
What's the date today?
I don't know. So how much time do you need? Seriously, how much money do you need?
Like my salary?
No, I don't care what you're saying.
Oh.
I want to know how much money you can make doing personal training in USANA.
Oh, well, I'd like to make at least $100K between the two.
Okay, a month?
Ah.
Okay, well, what do you need to pick? Well, I don't care. You can make $1 million a month if you go for it. Get on YouTube, do Fitspo, attach USANA to it. I mean, how much money do you need to quit? How much money do you need to make in 1 month in order to say, I can do this?
I haven't done that yet, and I feel like I need to do that.
Say it right now. How much money do you need to make? In 1 month, to say to yourself, I can pay my bills. Pick a number. Don't make it too big. You can kill going to Starbucks for a month. We can ratchet things down for a little bit.
No lash extensions.
No lash extensions. Jeez Louise.
Let's go with...
Hold on. Are your dreams more important than lash extensions?
Yes.
Okay. Don't you have a friend that's training that can do the fills for cheaper or something?
No, but I'm going to have to add one to Instagram.
Okay. Yes.
Let's go with $25,000.
A month?
Yeah.
Is what you need?
No.
What the hell kind of
What
life
I
do
want.
you
That's what I want. Nice.
No.
And
No,
nothing.
no.
It's a hard no.
How much money do you need to pay your bills? You're not going to replace your corporate income overnight, and you're not going to do it while you are trying to personal train and do USANA. And based on the fact that you can afford lash extensions, and based on that gorgeous ring you're wearing, your lifestyle is more expensive and more important to you than this ring right now. So let's get real. How much money do you actually need to pay your bills? Not for the fancy stuff.
$3,000.
Boom! How fast could you do that? Tomorrow, correct? Yes. So this is actually the fact, like, I love how honest you are, so thank you. I love you.
My pleasure. With all my new friends.
Yes.
You're gonna love
Who
Scrubby
can
now.
relate to her, by the way? Who can relate to her? You are so right because you know intellectually that the second that you quit, you open up all this time and all this energy and all this passion, and you're going to triple and 10x and all the things that everybody says, blah, 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 blah. It's going to happen. But first you have to get real with the fact that your dreams are more important than holding on to the luxury of the lifestyle momentarily. Make sense?
Yes.
Got it. Secondly, when you put a number down like $3,000, which isn't a small amount of money, but you can make that happen for sure. Now it becomes obtainable. And you've just given yourself permission and a roadmap to quit. Now let's go back to your original question. Which is the date. Got it. You're so smart.
I'm going on my honeymoon in September, so I want to definitely utilize the vacation time.
Yes, of course. Why would that would be stupid?
Visit my parents for Thanksgiving, so I'm really thinking December 1st.
I'm really thinking that you're giving notice when you get back from Thanksgiving. Right? Let's move that up a little and make her uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay. So what I want, my request, day after Thanksgiving, announcing that you have started your new personal training business in the next chapter of your life, and I want you to tag me.
Okay.
And we will cheer for you in month. I'll give you a hug. You're awesome. You're awesome. All right. Let's go back here real quick. Let's go back here. I'm looking for somebody. She's pointing. I love it when everybody points at their friends. Don't take me! Pick them! Pick them! How about this gentleman right here? Oh, man! Oh, he's hiding behind. I can still see you behind your name tag. Come here. Come here. Uh-oh, man.
A lot more deeper than I was crying when she was talking.
Oh, I didn't even see you crying. Good. Excellent. Can somebody give me the, so how nervous are you right now?
Excuse me?
Are you nervous? A little?
Yes.
What's happening?
I relate to her. I have a lot of fear.
What are you afraid of?
Sometimes I'm afraid of not trusting myself.
I don't think you need to be afraid of that because you don't trust yourself. It's true. See what I mean? What is it that you want, Jacob?
I want a better lifestyle. I want to get out of what's going on with me.
Okay.
Of course, I'm not asking for $25,000 a month.
Well, let's get there. You deserve $25,000 a month.
2,000 will do.
2,000. Okay, so 2,000 a month. How are you holding yourself back?
Fear of not being accepted, fear of not knowing how to. Although I've been with USANA for 4 years, I still not trust myself.
Okay, and what are the things? I want to do something. Mandy, are you around here? My business partner, Mandy. I get all the credit because I'm in the front of the room, but you want to know who runs our businesses? It's that beautiful lady right there. Will you grab the 3 envelopes? I think we should play the game with him, don't you? Okay. Do you know what's coming? Okay, good. So what are the things, tell me, fear we talk about intellectually, right? Like I'm afraid of a thought. I want to talk about fear and how it manifests in the actions you take or don't take. Because if we talk about your fears in terms of ideas, it's very hard to get you to change because we're trying to change thoughts. You can do it, but it's harder. It's a lot easier to change your relationship to fear when we identify all of the actions you take or don't take because you're afraid. So what was your first name, the gal that spoke first? What was her name? Diane. So she identified, you can probably relate to her.
Yes.
I'm not black and white. I kind of dance around. The thing I need to say, I'm too nice. What are the things that you do because you're afraid that are impacting your life?
I am very confident when I'm with somebody and around people, but when I'm by myself, I doubt myself.
Okay. And so when you start doubting yourself, what are the things that you do that make you unhappy or that are impacting your business?
Everything that I build up, I think just comes down.
You stop, you procrastinate?
Yes.
Okay, you procrastinate. What else do you do? Do you say, what's the garbage that you say to yourself? Like if I were to broadcast things that you say to yourself. You say you're stupid, you say it's never, you're not worthy.
I'm not good enough.
You're not good enough. Who can relate to that? Okay. Yeah, I have that one too. I'll do it. I'm not good enough. The only way that you beat that old story, I'm not good enough, is by proving through action that you don't believe it yourself. So I want to say this again because it's really important. The only way that you change the story that you're not good enough is by proving through action that you don't believe it yourself. So that means if you procrastinate when you don't feel good enough, that you start teaching yourself to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, start working. Because it proves, it proves that you do think you're good enough and you don't listen to it. So I have a question. What happened to you that makes you feel like you're not good enough? Who made you feel this way? Was it a mom or a dad or something happened when you were younger?
No, I think I asked too much for myself.
Okay.
Within myself.
So you've always done this?
Yes.
Okay, so this has just been something that you've always lived with. Okay, terrific. So I want to do a game with you that I call Fear Factor.
Okay.
Okay? Because everybody's, well, you're good. So on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being you're cool as a cucumber and you feel really comfortable, 10 being you're nervous as hell and you're shaking and about to have a heart attack, where are you, 0 to 10?
15.
Yes! Yes! Okay, you're perfect. I love it. Okay. So what's happening in your body at a 15? What's going on in your stomach?
I need to go somewhere.
Okay, good. You want to run?
I'm shaking and sweating.
Are you sweating under your armpits yet?
Since you called me.
Okay. Is your heart racing?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the way that you're perfect. So the way that we're going to play Fear Factor, I'm going to show you how you disappear fear. Because every fear is personal, but how you beat and disappear fear is exactly the same for all of us. Okay? So the way that we're going to play Fear Factor is this. In these envelopes, I've written instructions. I'm very creative. And what you do is you open the envelope, and you read what it says, and then you have to do exactly what it says. Okay? You ready? How nervous are you?
Now it's 20.
Okay, good. Here's number 1. You're perfect. Give a round of applause.
Oh no.
I am going.
30.
Yes, I am going on stage with Mel. Okay, give her a round of applause. He's going on stage with me. Here we go. Here we go. So where are you going? You're in California. How long have you been doing USANA? Yeah, come on, clap your hands. 4 years. And what did you do today? Chef. Cool. How long have you been married? Okay. What else do you want to tell me?
I know your son.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Okay, here we go. Going up, going up. Here we go. Come on. All right. I want you to. Have you ever been on a big stage like this before? No. Okay, good. Can you guys give them a round of applause? I want you to look at it. Okay, great. So 0 to 10. How are you feeling?
Well, I'm a little bit more realistic. I'm going to say 12.
Oh, it went down.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, now that everybody knows me and know my story, well, what can I say?
Yeah. It's so much easier to just be yourself than to try to be somebody else. I mean, and this is part of the point about fear. You hold on to this. Part of the point about fear is that when you think about it and it stays in your head, it grows. That's the trap. It tricks you into thinking. It tricks you into listening to it. The second you move, it starts to disappear. I mean, you already look different. Do you notice that, you guys? Like that he's very settled. So are you ready for envelope number 2? Okay. Now you're nervous again? Okay, you're all nervous.
Sickness 8.
Sing us a line from your favorite song. Oh my God. Okay. Let me help you. Is there anybody's birthday in here today? Right here. What's your name? Claudia. Okay. Let's go. You ready? We're going to sing happy birthday to Claudia.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Claudia. Happy birthday to you.
Woo! You're amazing. All right. 0 to 10. How do you feel?
I think I feel a 10 now.
Oh, come on. Seriously?
No, I feel a lot better. I didn't know I could even speak in the moment.
See, this is the thing. Fear tricks you into thinking a lot of things that aren't true. It keeps you stuck. The only way to disappear it is movement. And you're witnessing his physiology change. You're witnessing fear leaving his brain and his body, and Jacob, that's your first name? Jacob returning. This is a fundamental fact about fear. The more you think about it, the bigger it grows. The faster you move, the faster it disappears. All right, number 3. Here we go. Congrats, you're a winner. You just won 2 tickets to the USANA International Convention. Doing this?
That women will make you just get back to yourself, get back together.
So when you go home and the fear starts to rise up in your body and you feel yourself procrastinating, what can we count on you to do?
I can go for walks on the beach. I live 4 blocks from that.
Yes, you're gonna notice here comes the fear and you're gonna move. You promise? You can pick up the phone and call somebody. You can go for a walk. Basically, by doing something other than letting it take over, you are showing yourself you don't believe it. Got it? Awesome. Awesome. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Thank you. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you. And you know, look. The thing about fear is I want you to follow it. There is a message in the mess in your life. And we tend to avoid it. That's right. And so the conversations that you need to have, the mess that you created, there's a message that you need when you follow it and when you go right through it. I don't think that any of us are allowed to start a new chapter in our lives until we get the lessons from the one that we're in. And you don't get the lessons unless you're willing to move right toward that fear and right into the messes that you think that you've created or that you feel like you've created, because there is a lesson in there that you need. And I really believe that. And I know that Jacob won, but I have something for all of you. You all win. So, you know the 5 habits of productivity. We went and created a 45-minute video in my home. And you're going to get to wake up and go through the routine with me, and there's nothing to buy. And this is a gift from the senior leaders at USANA and from my team to you. You're welcome to share it with anybody. Just go to melrobbins.com, free gift, and you can watch that video and get all of the stuff that we're talking about reinforced. You know, at the end of the day, yes. At the end of the day, look, I really think that life is really simple and that we overcomplicate it by thinking way too much. I guarantee you, each and every one of you knows exactly what you can be doing in small ways every single day to beat the fears that are holding you back. And one more thing I want to say about that. I think a lot of you need to evaluate the people that you're hanging out with. And I say that because, not because the people you're hanging out with are bad people, but because I know that because you're sitting in this room, there is a pattern in your life that's changed. There's something that you've become very passionate about. There's something in you that's awakened. And so for everybody in your life that you don't feel supported by, or that you feel judged by, or you feel nervous to be around, I want you to consider that there's nothing wrong. It's just that they're in a different pattern. And what you need is you need people that are on the same wavelength and on the same mission that you are. Because it's going to make your life, your happiness, everything a heck of a lot easier. All right, everybody, I'm going to do a book signing. You don't have to buy a book to say hello, so just come on over, and I will see you all, I think, in the exhibit hall, literally in the next couple minutes.